Hey shooters, welcome back to the Shooters Resource Channel. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite micro compact 9mm pistols. It's one of my favorite carry guns really. It's the Glock 43X and it is part of their compact, slimline, frame, whatever, but it's pretty much it and the Glock 48. I like both of these pistols, but I really like the Glock 43X more. Both incorporate elements of the Gen 5 platform, which I think is an upgrade above the prior generations. The regular Glock mags, they tend to stick because of the polymer outside, and once they've been dropped on the dirt a few times, they tend to stick. So this is me depressing it. It drops. Now I am using a metal mag release, so that might be a big part of the problem. First, let's talk about the size of the Glock 43X. It's coming in at 18.7 ounces. Now, that's quite a bit heavy considering that the Glock 19 is 21.5 ounces, so they're fairly close, and the Glock 48 is somewhere in between. So I wouldn't use weight as a decision factor here, especially when looking at other Glocks. But the overall size is pretty good. I mean, I think it's the sweet spot. The sight radius on this gun is about 5/8 of an inch shorter than the 48 or the Glock 19, coming in right at 5.24 inches. My mag carrier stayed on the mag. I've never had that happen before. Now, another great feature on the gun is the safe action trigger. Speaking of the P365, it's got a great flat face trigger, but the Glock has, and all Glocks have, the trigger blade, and I like that trigger safety, especially when carrying appendix, because you don't want a negligent discharge in the areas where you don't want it. I mean, you don't want it to happen at all, but especially when carrying appendix. So it makes me feel a lot better, and I really wish that all carry guns would incorporate this. One thing that a lot of folks don't like about this gun is the 10-round capacity. There's a lot smaller guns like the P365 or even the Shield Plus with the 10-round magazine that, have the same capacity or greater, but they're smaller. Now, you can get the 15-round Shield Arm mags, and I've got a few of them myself, but I cannot recommend them because so many people have complained about having problems with them. I've not had any problems with mine. I'm very comfortable carrying the 3 Generation 2s that I have. However, if I were to buy one tomorrow, I would not carry it until I had hundreds of rounds behind it because a lot of folks are saying that there's some prolonged problems with these. Now, the ergonomics on the gun is great. I think it's the perfect size to shoot fast. It's got standard Glock ergos, built-in beaver tail that works really well. You can get a really high grip on this gun, giving you a low bore access, which makes shooting fast very easy. It's got a reversible mag release, and it's quite large. I think they implemented this on the Gen 4 series, and I really like the Glock mag release. Now, one thing to point out is the gun does have very poor texturing, so I had to use some Talon grips. I found when I was shooting it, especially during the summer times, get hot, and this gun, you could barely keep a hold of it. So by using the sandpaper grips from Talon, it works pretty well. However, I really don't like them either because they're constantly like rubbing on me while I'm carrying, as well as like rubbing on my seats and other things, tearing up shirts. They're too aggressive. So I just wish Glock would have done a better job here. They've got a lot of better texturing on other guns. They could have done a better job. Overall performance was great. Recoil with the Glock, as mentioned before, is very low. It's very easy to shoot fast. The trigger is okay. I mean, it's just a standard Glock trigger. It's got the right reset. It kind of feels spongy, whatever, but you can still run it, and it shoots very well, very accurately. It allows for accuracy if you can shoot accurate. A lot of people say Glocks can't do it, but this Glock has got the Glock Marksman barrel. I'm not going to say it's any more accurate than any other prior generations, but if you take your time, if you've got good trigger control, good discipline, you can stack them in there. All right, that's 12 shots. Looks like I definitely dropped a few, definitely dropped one big time. But the central group's about 2 inches at 10 yards offhand. That's about the amount of accuracy that I've got these days. Took me 2 groups to kind of get to that better shooting, but I was very much so able to shoot this gun very accurately. I stepped it into 7 yards, the 43X, because I wasn't very happy with that 10-yard group, and I need a little more practice. And when I shoot these videos, this is really the only time that I get practice. So other than this one bullet that I threw outside, the core group right there is about a 1-inch group at 7 yards with 10 shots. So 9 and 1-inch group. Probably went to 1.5 inches with the one thrown shot, but not too bad. Dead center, so a lot better trigger discipline. I do like the front slide serrations on the Glock Gen 5 guns. I know that the 43X has got a lot of the features of the Gen 5. I'm not sure if it's counted as a Gen 5, but I do like those front slide serrations on the gun. I think not only are they functional, they just look a lot better than just having that straight slide there. The recoil on the 43X, I think it's really good. You know, one thing that people like to point out is the Glock 43X is not as small as some of the other guns that came out around the same time, like the P365, or even the Shield Plus, especially with the 10-round magazine and the Shield Plus. But I think the size of the G43X makes it easy to shoot. And I think that's well worth it, especially if you have, you know, if you're going to just buy one gun, and let's say you wanted the smallest double stack 9 possible, this isn't the gun for you. But if you've got a couple and you want some gun that's somewhere in between your P365 or your Ruger LCP Max or whatever, and your Glock 19 or your P320, the Glock 43X is a really good size. It's somewhere in between those. So I really like it, and it's earned a permanent spot in my safe for sure. One thing that's really cool about the Glock 43X is its compatibility with other Glock 43 items. So the Glock 43 was out for a long time. It's a very popular gun prior to the double stacks coming out, the double stack micro guns coming out. And you know, there were a lot of holsters, a lot of aftermarket accessories that were made for that gun. And I have found that all of my Glock 43 stuff pretty much fits my Glock 43X. So I'm still using some of the holsters that were made for the Glock 43. Actually, all of my holsters were made for a standard Glock 43. And inside the waistband, outside the waistband, and the 43X fits in fine. I've got a TLR6 from Streamlight that was made for a Glock 43. Fits on just fine. So you know, a lot of different aftermarket parts for the 43 and 43X, and they cross over. So that's really cool if you've already got a 43. So in closing, I really found that the Glock 43 is a great gun to have, a great gun, you know, that I would suggest going out and buying. A lot of times you can find these things used, and you know, it is the sister, or you know, a cousin of the Glock 48. So if you've got one, there are some slides available where you can buy a slide and you can go back and forth between the 48 and 43X. That's actually what I did. I found a used 48 for like 400 bucks, picked that up, and found a decent Glock 43X slide with already had, like, you know, the sights that I wanted on it, and went ahead and scooped that up, and now I've got a gun that can do both. I really like this gun. I think that it is the sweet spot in terms of carry and shootability. I wish that it had a little bit higher capacity from the factory, given the grip size. I think they could have done it. But other than that, I really like this gun. If you see one in your local gun store, especially if you can get it one used for around 400 bucks, I definitely would scoop it up. You can't go wrong with the Glock 43X. Shooters, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informational. If you did, take a second, hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, thank you all and God bless.